Okay. All right, everyone. Just make sure I'm on the camera. We're recording, so I just want to make sure I'm on the
Oh,
camera.
there's Sylvia.
Sylvia's here, yes. Okay, well, why don't I open us in prayer? Dear Lord, thank you so much for this gathering of like-minded individuals. We all want to serve, we all want to love our fellow humans, and this is an opportunity to learn more about how we can do that. Bless our time together. Thank you for this food. Thank you for the fellowship that we have together. We pray all this in your name. Amen.
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 All right. Okay, so, well, we always start by just going around and saying who we are and who we represent, if we represent, or what organization we're with. You don't have to give a long spiel, just, that's, so we'll go around, and Russ, why don't we just start with you and go around.
Russ Link, Downtown Fellowship, Brownwood Bush Ministries.
Connie Link. Russ.
Mike Monsanto, I'm on the board of Downtown Fellowship.
Rebecca Manassi from San Diego.
Hugh Gerfen, Treasurer, Downtown Fellowship.
Susan Townsend, Matthew Ministries. Terry Day. Maureen Stone, East County Transitional Living Center. Laura Lee, I'm on the board of Downtown Fellowship, and I'm a member here at First Pres.
Alex DeNoble from recently retired from San Diego State University.
All right.
Can we get Bob?
Oh, sorry, we have,
Don't forget, like the most important.
Central Carlson, Circle San Diego, and Hugh is also.
And Matthew Ministries.
Yeah, and there you go. And that's
A few other things too.
I'm probably Wesley's older brother, and I'm your brother.
And now,
But I spelled it right.
now for our guest.
yes. Well, I'm about to introduce him, but you, Patrick, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Patrick Snyder. I'm with BizStarts. It's worth noting that I previously ran the United States Association for Small Business and Entrepreneurship, which was the largest organization in the world for faculty that teach entrepreneurship. Alex, sitting with you, was our board chair during part of the time where I was serving. And Laura Lee is a board member of BizStarts also, and she directed our listening sessions when we first decided to go from Main Street businesses to helping people in poverty start their own companies.
Wow.
All right. Cool. All the connections that are in this room. Okay, let me first make some announcements.
We have more people up there too. Up
Oh,
there we have
I'm
Sylvia,
sorry.
Adriana.
You're right. Thank you. People are correcting me here. Can you introduce yourself if you're via Zoom? Sylvia.
I'm Sylvia Seib, and I work with Circle San Diego. Thank you for having me.
Janice. Janice may be busy. She's the one you saw at the front desk,
Oh, okay.
and that's her job, so she can't come up here. All right, that's Janice. All right, a few announcements. We got a few things coming up, activities. Actually, this weekend, we're serving at Servant Church. We have a small partnership there, and we have 4 volunteers tomorrow night, and then 3 volunteers Saturday morning, helping them with a marriage enrichment event. We did this last year, and we're doing it again. So we already have enough volunteers. It's a small event. That's happening this weekend. On March 5th, we're going to have the 3rd annual Ash Wednesday service at First Pres, 6:30 p.m. And that's, if you recall from previous years, it's a combination of a number of churches, maybe up to 8 to 10 churches in the area, getting together to do Ash Wednesday together, which is really cool. So come to that if you can. That's here at First Pres. And then I want to give an announcement way ahead of time, but May 1st is our National Day of Prayer. And well, there's Janice right there. We were trying to introduce you. So the National Day of Prayer is happening May 1st. We meet out at Ruoco Park, which is near Seaport Village, from noon to 1. We start music at 11:30. From noon to 1, we are led by a number of leaders in our community Christian leaders in our community praying for the city, praying for a number of different issues. And boy, do we need prayer right now. So that'll be a great event. Please try and come to that. And just finally, a plug for Circles. I mean, everyone in the room somehow is associated with Circles, but just reminding everyone that it is going. We have 11 leaders who lead their own program, who are at the end of their training almost, the last couple of weeks coming up, and we need allies. And I'm looking around, we actually have about a handful of allies in this room right now. Allies are the ones that come alongside the leaders to help them with their plan. We need allies. I'm not looking at everyone else in the room and saying, you need to be an ally. Please give us a contact of your church or organization if you think there's a potential for some allies there. Or if you know someone that would make a great ally, please let us know. That would be great. So we meet on Thursday evenings. We're meeting tonight at 6 p.m. for dinner. You get a free dinner. And you can bring well, I don't know if you can bring your kids if you're an ally, can you?
Yeah.
Okay, you can. So we have a youth program too. You can drop your kids, you can have dinner, and you can be an ally. All right, enough of that. Let me turn to this is a great segue, going from Circles into our guest speakers today. Patrick is joining us via Zoom. He already introduced himself. And I'm really excited about BizStarts. On their website, they say they've impacted over 1,000 different entrepreneurs in the Wisconsin area, maybe outside of Wisconsin, but I'll let Patrick talk about that. And we also have Dr. Alex DeNoble from San Diego State. Again, I'll let them talk about what they do. You're going to hear some acronyms like Urban Poverty Business Initiative, UPBI. But one of our major goals in Circles is to develop a network of resources to help our circle leaders. And so these are the kinds of resources that we're looking for. So it goes right along with those goals. So without further ado, please introduce Mr. Patrick Snyder of BizStarts.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Laura, who's on my board, and Alex, who is my former chairperson, will tell you that I typically don't speak about BizStarts. I usually bring the entrepreneurs that have benefited from the program to say the words for me, because my job is to serve. We're going to hear from one of those entrepreneurs right now, our friend Ruben Guyana.
Okay.
I think chess is a thinking game. You know, you always got to be able to think and be aware of what your next strategy is going to be.
Sorry, I just realized I didn't share my screen. I need to do that. You can see it online.
The green button, bottom center.
Thank you. Well,
And then bottom center shoot.
okay, thank you.
It takes a village.
Quick.
Maximum secretary.
No, this is- and
Bring that down. So
there,
that-
okay,
And then you can make it bigger.
You always want to plan ahead. And at the same time, while you're planning ahead, be ready to pivot in case you need to pivot. And that's how I look at life. So that to me was a gateway to get away of the trauma that I was going through as a child. I grew up with an abusive father, physically, mentally, verbally towards my mom. At the age of 8 as well, I mean, I was able to witness him almost trying to kill her. I was always raised into survival mode. From 8 till 18, I've always worked. I always work to try to help my mom to find a way to sustain it. So I had a pretty rough childhood, but I always had love. My military service was a little bit over 6 years. In 2007, when I went to get re-enlisted and did my physical evaluation, they found me unfit for sea duty due to me having back problems. I had a wife and 5 kids at that time. I didn't have no money in the bank, no money saved up. I was scared. That led me into doing wrong things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. In the blink of an eye, I was fully involved in selling narcotics, selling drugs. And when I left suspected it from like in 2010, 3 years later, I was federally indicted. I didn't think of the consequences. I didn't think whether it was going to be good or bad. I just knew that I had to provide for 5 kids and a wife. One of the things that I would tell people is, we're not felons. We caught a felony. We're individuals. No one was born a prisoner. Life living circumstances made us make the wrong choices, or we chose to make the wrong choices that landed us to where we at. But the ultimate thing is that we chose. And just like we chose to make that wrong choice, we choose to make the right choices and never again go back. For all my life, when people would tell me that I couldn't do something, I believed it because I thought I didn't have no choice. But it took me being in prison in 2015 from that person telling me, you know, what do you have to show for it? To realize that, you know what, all along I had a choice. I always had a choice. You know, I chose to make those mistakes, but now I choose to pay it forward. I choose to do the right thing. I choose to show people that our mistakes do not define who we are. Working with the Wisconsin Reentry Program, my heart always felt that there was more I could give. Like there's something more. Case management was just maybe not just enough, but there's like just seeing that gap that employers and employees were having. So I said, you know what? I have to do something about this. I have to do something. And that led me into thinking of becoming an entrepreneur. It's been 4 years since I came out of prison, you know, and I always ask myself, where would I be? Where would I be if it wasn't because of BizStarts that did not discriminate me, did not look at me for my background, but looked at me as a person that could provide opportunities to other people and were willing to coach with me and work with me. And now I see myself, a Mexican kid from the barrio that was told that he would never be able to do anything in life. Here I am providing an opportunity for individuals to get a living wage job, not a bare minimum job, but a living wage job. So BizStarts to me means a lot. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't with them. I told Patrick, one of these days I'm going to come back to BizStarts Institute and I'm going to facilitate one of this event and share my story with the people here. And he was like, Ruben, I don't see why not. You can do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Ruben. At the end of the day, it's all about making people understand, you know, that mistakes do not define who we are and do not believe that we're barriers. They saw my conviction as a barrier. I saw it as a strength, and I still see it as a strength. I see it by working with the individuals every day and them telling me, thank you. You gave me hope. That would be amazing. That's amazing. You know, it doesn't matter what you do to survive as long as you're doing the right thing.
The red button over here.
Red one.
The red button. I'm pointing to the screen.
Oh, there it is. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
So, yeah, I hope you're, I guess, as touched by that video as I am. We continue to work with Ruben. We have a lot of success stories at BizStarts, and the thing we teach the most is we change I can't to how can I. In a lot of cases, I don't even believe what happens to the people after they go through the program and its various phases, which Alex, Professor DeNoble, will spell out to you very well. But I mean, I can tell you a couple stories about some people that were very inspiring to me. We had a lady that literally, she had a scooter, and she worked as a housekeeper at a hotel. And the reason why she had the scooter is because she couldn't afford a car. And she even drove that scooter to the hotel in the winter. In spring, she came to me and said, you know, we should try to get a commercial policy. I'm going to rent my scooter out at the hotel. And for one, I thought that was brilliant. She enlisted the bell people at the hotel, the resort she worked at, to hand out flyers as people checked in. And then she rented her scooter for $40 an hour while she was making $12 an hour at the hotel. She continued to double the amount of scooters that she had until she had 40 at the resort, and most recently had an exit to a place called Midwest Action Cycle, and the exit itself was north of $6 million. So it's a very, very great story of a woman who really had no formal training outside of BizStarts and entrepreneurship, and just kind of a dream to get the thing going. There's another story about a gentleman whose wife worked at a Fortune 500 company in town. It was Solo Cup. And long story short is sometimes we tell entrepreneurs to think of their product differently than other people would think of the product. And his iteration was basically to think of he had a bicycle repair service in his garage, and how bicycles on a big campus like Solo Cup could allow people to have in-person meetings, particularly summer through fall. So he put together a package, and when we helped him with some big client sales training, so he'd know how to talk to the Fortune 500 company and not go in there selling, but going in there asking what they wanted and then delivering what that was. And he called me on the phone, and he's like, Patrick, I sold 75 bikes to Solo Cups. That's the most I've ever sold. Well, then he got service contracts on the bicycles. He went to Abbott Labs down the street. He now does their bikes. And I remember him saying to me when he first started that he oiled chains for a living, and it wasn't very glamorous. I can assure you that him and his wife have a very glamorous life now. And I get choked up when I talk about the entrepreneurs because I love them. And my mom was an immigrant to this country. She got offered $265 an hour to sweep floors, and she started a business in 1975. She was making $1,000 a day. So when I see these people, I see her, and I want to help. And Alex, I'll let you take over before I become a blumbering idiot.
This is what I love so much about Patrick, and as Patrick mentioned, we go back 10, 12 years at this point, when we worked for USASB. Not work, I mean, that was a volunteer organization for me, but he was our executive director, and that's how we began working together. And he moved on, I moved on, but we still kept an incredible relationship. Now, Patrick just gave you a few very compelling stories. But you need to see and hear, Patrick, when you're ready to speak again, you gotta give us a context of what BizStarts is. Because Patrick, arranged for me to come up and do a presentation there, with his group, and I was just blown away by what they've been able to create with a physical store, a physical facility. And Patrick, can you just give us a little bit of background on the organization of BizStarts and how you were able to secure the property that you're in?
Yeah, so you know, when I got asked to take over BizStarts, I was clueless. I had no idea how we were going to get teach people marketing if they didn't have any money, how to get people to work for their companies if they couldn't pay them, how to get your numbers into QuickBooks if you don't know, if you're not really solid with math. And we did a listening session within the neighborhoods that Laura Lee did. I knew that Laura was a Wharton MBA and that I could not afford her services, so I begged her, even though all it took was a lunch, and she was asking me how she could help, so that wasn't a real hard thing. But what the listening sessions did was tell us that some of the things we were doing, we weren't doing correctly. So we were paying coaches $50 an hour to have businesses come in, and they wanted a class and they wanted something credentialed. So if they didn't make it, that they would have, they would have something on the resume that they didn't have before they went through the institute. So I had some bandwidth in terms of knowing professors, and I was asking, like, is there anybody that does entrepreneurship and poverty? And this professor, Michael Morris at University of Notre Dame, wrote a book called Poverty and Entrepreneurship in Developed Countries based on his work in Haiti and South Africa. And, I said to Michael, can we borrow your boot camp in Milwaukee? And he, Michael's a hard ass. So he said, yeah, if you help me write 100 hours of Quickum and come to South Bend every weekend, I might let you do it. I went and saw the program, and it was kind of just like, this is exactly what the folks need. And he dialed into the program in that it should be a system of learning, but then eventually it should become a system of doing. So basically, he has students that are consultants at the University of Notre Dame, and those students get the folks to different steps or traction to being in business. Now, when I started writing grants for this, I looked at each of the classes in the cohort, and then I thought there should be 6 or 7 deliverables from each of the classes. And Michael said, well, you write them down for me and we'll see, maybe we'll work on a book of your 25 steps to being in business. So they'd have a workbook. And Michael, being Michael, saw my 25, and then he sent me back 80 steps. So there's a thing in academia where they say, does the entrepreneur create the business, or does the business, in fact, create the entrepreneur? And I would argue that I would not know Laura Lee if it weren't for BizStarts. I would not have written a book with Professor Morris if it weren't for BizStarts. The organization as itself wouldn't have had 60 placements in the last 18 months in local media if it were not for BizStarts. So as we roll here, the business continues to create me, and it continues to create the entrepreneurs that go through the program. And without the business, they would not reach their full potential. So I gave you the training piece, which is 6 weeks, that teaches marketing, which teaches accounting, which teaches your business model, which teaches your operations. Then they get into the steps phase with the student consultants. And the student consultants in a semester typically get them to about 10 to 12 of the steps. And then they use the workbook to get to the other things, and we have an entrepreneur in residence rather than the coaches who who helps people on a 24/7 kind of basis if they're having a specific problem and need support. And of course, our whole staff is there to help. But in terms of the store, and Alex is talking about the physical location, is, entrepreneurship is about solving a problem. That's the real root of somebody has a pain point or a difficulty, and then the entrepreneur that recognizes that creates that product or service, and that's what happens. They've solved the problem. So what my entrepreneurs who created products, not services, but products, said that we're killing ourselves going from pop-up to farmer's market to farmer's market. And I said, let's build you a store. And we wanted to build it in the wealthiest neighborhood in Milwaukee, or one of the more wealthy neighborhoods in Milwaukee. So for one, they could have proof of concept with a real buying audience. But second of all, people could afford the products that were a little bit higher priced than, say, Walmart, because they're hand making them instead of mass producing them. And now we have 40 entrepreneurs in the store that represent 200 products. It's a beautiful location. I'll share slides with Ben after we're done. But another thing we're doing is, we started testing the students. We started giving homework to the students because we wanted to prove to our donors that there was learning. So we have assurance of learning. We have assurance of rigor. I think our program has as much rigor as any university at this point. And the idea of BizStarts and the idea of any business is to try to do it better through differentiation. And now I've joined this group of UPBI, which is 40 cities that are currently doing Michael's program. And we're all learning from each other. So there is, if you did decide to do something like this in San Diego, which I know Alex is working on something, but there's definitely bandwidth. We have to turn away, 30, 40, 50 people each time we do a cohort because we don't have capacity. So I'm sure in a city like San Diego, you could have 6 groups like this, and you still wouldn't fulfill the need in the marketplace. So Alex, did I do an okay job on that, or?
Fantastic job of that. So, if, with your permission, Pat, I'll take it over from here.
Yep.
Thank you. So, I talked about this long relationship with Patrick going back to the early, when did we meet each other? 2015 or something like that. But he talked about Michael Morris, the developer of our UPBI program. He and I were doctoral students together at Virginia Tech in the late 1970s. So a lot of this stems from very long relationships. And when we finished our doctoral programs, we went in separate paths, but we each built on, continued to build entrepreneurship programs wherever we were. Now, Michael did it in a number of different universities. I showed up at San Diego State and said, how do I leave this? And so that led to a 40-year career. Before I tell you a little bit about what we do here in San Diego, I want to give you a high-level picture of what UPBI is. And I didn't give you the website for that, Ben, so I can't put it on. But if you go to the University of Notre Dame website and put in the UPBI program, that's our headquarters. And the basic premise of UPBI is Michael brought together a number of experienced entrepreneurship professors. I mean, we have a field and we continue to challenge ourselves to provide cutting edge entrepreneurship education and training for our students that show up in our classroom in the university. And Michael began to ask us, other academics, who are working in this area, what happens if we take this same skill sets and knowledge and bring that into the community. And that was the foundation of the UPBI program. As Patrick said, we are in more than 40 cities, or at least 40, 45 cities at this point, not only around the United States, but around the world. We have programs in South Africa, we have programs in Haiti, we have programs in India, and the list just keeps on growing because it's such a compelling story that the power and impact of this program. Now, I'll go over, Patrick sort of alluded to it, the basic structure of the program, but what I want you to understand is that each city that comes on to the UPBI program partnership, everybody runs it in their own way within their own resource constraints. And so Patrick will run the program at BizStarts with an organization backing it, with a staff and so forth, and our partners in Minneapolis at the University of St. Thomas have full-time staff working their programs. In San Diego, we're a bootstrap organization. We run a conference every year called the California Entrepreneurship Educators Conference. And I asked Michael Morris to speak at our conference one year. And this woman, Teresa Harris, was in the audience. I did not know Teresa at the time. Heard Michael speak about the UPBI program. And again, I was serving as the executive director of the center, and this academic conference was one of the things we do in a center. She approached me after that and said, how do we bring this program to San Diego? And well, I said, well, let me introduce you to Michael and we can sit down and we can talk about it. And Teresa is a one-person operation. Her full-time job is at the University of San Diego in the purchasing department, but she has a nonprofit. She has a PhD, Dr. Teresa Harris, but she has this nonprofit called the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurial Studies. So what I decided to do as executive director of the Lavin Entrepreneurship Center of San Diego State is say, okay, Teresa, we'll partner with you and we'll provide support, we'll figure this out. But we needed another component to that for the mentoring. When we reached out to a person we knew at SCORE San Diego, Steve Sivitz, if any of you know him through SCORE. Steve gladly came on as a third partner here in San Diego. And the three of us put together what we're doing here in San Diego. Now that I've retired from the university with many different responsibilities, I said to the dean, there's one piece that I still want to keep and allow me to represent the university in this capacity, and that's the UPBI program. So Teresa, Steve, and I were all volunteers. The mentors that I'll talk about shortly were all volunteers. It's completely bootstrapped. So Patrick talked about impacting thousands of entrepreneurs through the BizStarts program. I'm going to talk to you about impacting our current list is about maybe 70 people that we've been able to touch with our program as we continue to grow from a grassroots kind of an approach. So this is our website. We're headquartered in San Diego at the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurial Studies. So Ben, if you can go to the program, if you go up to the top, we're going to show the program, the Entrepreneurship Boot Program. So bring it down. Bring it down a little bit further. There are some of our goals, but here's what we do. So we had to figure this out. I mean, this is Michael Morris's basic structure, and we had to figure out how we were going to do that in our own context. So the community boot camp, it's a we've turned it into a 7-week program now, where delegates who participate in our program sign on for a 10-month program, 10 to 12-month program, starting in September with this community boot camp. And each Saturday, they're with us from 8:30 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. And we're talking about business basics. So we're talking about in an entrepreneurship, or when I say entrepreneurship, you have to understand, we are dealing with micro enterprises. We're dealing with face painters. We're dealing with people that are baking cookies in their kitchen and trying to create a business out of that. They run, I mean, they run a wide array of micro small businesses. So we can't teach it, we can't teach this program as if we're teaching MBAs, entrepreneurship, in a tech-based environment. We have to adapt it to this particular audience. And so we have beautiful facilities on the San Diego State campus, but we didn't want to be on the campus for this program. We wanted to be in the community. So where we currently are right now is where it makes sense for us is the Joan Kroc Center, the Salvation Army on University Avenue. We picked a place like that because it's in the community and it attracts people from the target market audience that we're hoping to work with. And so for 6 weeks from September through mid-October, we provide this business basics training. And Russ, I met Russ recently and he sat in on our 6-week program at the Kroc Center. We bring in instructors from the community. We wanted to bring in instructors that not only had the skills and the technical background and the capabilities to do that, but we wanted to bring in people that our audience could identify with and be comfortable with. And so each week we run this business basics program, followed by, we always bring in 2 to 3 entrepreneurs on whatever topic it is, how to market a business or how to set up books and records. So we bring in some again, micro entrepreneurs that have sort of figured it out to tell their stories, and it's really inspiring. And then we always run a workshop, how to do business with the city, how to do business with the county, or how to do business with a large organization like a university, offering your products and services. So that's what each of the components of the 6-week program look like. And then we added the 7th week, a matching program, because going from mid-October through January, we want to match each of our delegates that continues with us with mentors from the community, and that's where sport comes in. Now, you have to think about it this way. Ultimately, we want to connect our delegates with students who can provide some consulting and some actual hands-on work. But now I want you to think about this. Our portfolio of delegates, our constituents, they've never managed anybody before. And our students have never been professional consultants before. and they're doing it for class credit. It's on a volunteer basis, at least for now. We want to ultimately raise funds so that we can give the students a stipend. But, so here's the beauty of our model is we've asked the mentors to stay on. And so the mentors from November to January work with the delegates and they frame out tightly defined projects that our students could get their arms around. That, so it's not just very nebulous, they're very tightly defined. And then we've got the mentor supervising the relationship between the delegate and the student, so that hopefully by the end of the session, the delegate gets a project that they could use to continue to grow and develop their business, like putting up a website, setting up an e-commerce platform, doing market research, setting up books and records. These are things that our students are getting trained on. So we create a win-win situation for the delegates. They get a way to advance their business. And for the students, they get an incredible exposure by making a social impact within the community, and they've got some hands-on experience. Now, a lot of our students gravitate toward paid internships, and I don't blame them, but ours, we don't have that, we're bootstrapped, so we have to find student volunteers, but we always seem to find them there. So right now, we're in mid-February. The spring semester has started. We've matched our delegates with students under the supervision of mentors, and they're working on their projects. They'll be presenting their work right by the end of the semester, end of April, beginning of May. We'll see what kind of results will happen, but that's how this particular program is structured. Then we try to do a business showcase at the end, where we'll invite our network of companies, individuals, organizations that might want to consider buying some of the products and services that our delegates have to offer. And so we put them in a showcase kind of environment, and so we're planning that for mid-April as well. And so hopefully through this extended nurturing process, we've been able to help move some of these projects and these delegates along towards creating their businesses and growing their businesses. So if you could go down, I'll show you, bring it down. So here's our next cohort. This is going to be our 5th cohort. We've been doing this 5 years now. So we are in the midst of recruiting for the fall cohort that will start on September 6th, right after Labor Day, and it'll go through mid-October, and then we'll put the delegates and we'll go through that cycle again. So that's how it's structured. If you bring it down a little bit more. Okay, here are some of the people these are superb colleagues of ours. These are PhD level individuals that are, we recruit to structure and run the different parts of our program throughout the 6-week boot camp. And so if you go back to the home, I want to show the impact report.
Time check, we got about 10 minutes left in the regular program.
Okay, I'll finish up.
We might go over a little, that's okay.
Okay, let's go back right to the front,
Home.
and then go down to that impact report, right there, our impact. So we're pretty proud of this. We've worked with 76 business owners so far, not the hundreds or thousands, but we've worked with 76 people. We've done 48 projects because not all of our delegates progress through all of the programs. We've provided 288 mentoring hours. We've look at the student hours that are put into this program, because the program the students are in requires 120 hours worth of effort for them to get their credits. We bring in visiting entrepreneurs to interact, and these are just some of the ways we measure our performance right now. And I'd like to end this, if we can go to the video.
Yes.
This was one of our delegates, a couple.
The schools
One-
sometimes take a bad rap for being all,
Sorry, specific.
This was produced by a husband and wife team. They're Native American. They were delegates in our program. They run a videography company. So we hired them to put this video based on last year's showcase. And we're real proud, and we want to show it to you.
business schools sometimes take a bad rap for being all profit driven. The truth is societal impact matters tremendously to us. Part of now the accrediting body's mission is to pay significant attention to societal impact. This particular initiative, we are delighted to support. What you all are doing here is tremendous, and we are just delighted to be part of the present and the future and be on the journey along with you. So thank you.
I was a presenter and then a student, and oh man, what a wonderful, valuable experience at any point in your business journey, because I had already started the business, but there was still so much to learn, and I'm still learning, and so I was able to just absorb all that knowledge. I love that you can find it all in that one tangible place. Like Aaron Burr says, I want it to be in the room where it happens. This is the room where it happens. So I inserted myself with like minds and like passions, people who would challenge me.
My business was just like stuck. I had no idea what to do. And this commercial comes on and it says, do you have a business? Do you want to help learn how to grow it? And I just thought it was just like heaven sent. So I immediately got on my computer, laptop, and signed up. Since then, it's been a huge blessing to my business. So I've been able to just rub shoulders with professors and talk to students, just being able to actually be confident about my business helped me actually just take it to whole different levels that I've never even imagined.
I had started my business in 2018, and I have 2 degrees in culinary management and restaurant and hospitality management, but you cannot pay for what they teach you and the connections you make and all the people you meet and where everybody's at in different levels. That really helps you grow your business, and then it helps you grow as a business owner. And because of what I've learned from the program, it's helped me grow and learn and really be able to give me the confidence I needed to be able to apply for other programs.
I am grateful for this program. I have an amazing mentor. He was perfect. His profile was perfect. I have an amazing intern, and they're helping me with just strategies and looking into more of the analysis of my business.
With this sequential program and with the support of the resources in the community, people that come into our program are surrounded by the resources and support to give them every chance possible to make their program a success. Everything from face painting to candle makers to early childhood education to food pop-up to dance studios. It doesn't matter what the business is. What matters to us is the drive of the individual. These are the people that we want to work with. These are micro businesses that will be business leaders in the future. That's what we do here in San Diego. Maurice is in our, he was in our program as a delegate, and now he's partnered with us, and Maurice is invaluable in helping us get the word out within the veteran community to bring veterans who want to
Yeah.
start businesses.
I went through that leadership class with him, and he's county, so that's how I got to do it. You know him.
We gave him a very special award.
Mhm.
That's what we were doing with him.
Are there questions for either Alex or
You mentioned that you're in the process of recruiting for your next camp. How do you do that? Where do you find these?
I'm recruiting right now. We've partnered with Cox, and they put together a PSA, a public service announcement, and they air it during our recruiting time. We'll start actual recruiting in June, and over the summer, we'll do orientation sessions. We want to make sure that people are going to commit to it, at least to the 6-week boot camp. And so we do that. We're speaking, we're talking to different organizations. We're working with Project Rebound right now, which is for formerly incarcerated. This is a group on our campus at San Diego State that may want to get involved with us. We're working with a refugee group in East County. We're just trying to get the word out to underserved communities where if they know of entrepreneurs who want to scale up their business, that's how we're trying to do it. It's all grassroots, word of mouth.
Thank you.
Yeah, very appreciate that presentation today, and I'm sure taking notes as we go. For local churches, I go to Methodist Church anymore, but do you see this as an opportunity to get a conduit for recruiting, and how can I learn more how to do that?
Yeah, well, I spoke with Russ. There's a couple of ways that we could potentially work with Circle. One way is if you've got people in your network that you think would benefit by participating in our program, that would be great. Okay. Now, San Diego is a big county. So what we've done is, so we really operate in South San Diego. We've partnered with San Marcos to offer the program up in North San Diego County. But to me, that leaves a gap in Central San Diego. And if what we could do is we can provide mentorship to a circles group that may want to spin up one in a different area in a time frame that's different from what we're doing, so that we can get more broad-based coverage in San Diego. So that's what we can do if we were to work with Circle.
other questions?
Do your future entrepreneurs need to be adults, or could they be teenagers?
They'd have to be they really would have to be committed, but yeah, they could be, but they really have to be committed to trying to create a business. They got to be real serious about that, because we're putting a lot of resources behind it. So it's not specifically targeted for teenagers, but we could make an exception if we find some exceptional people.
Have you connected with the David Park Foundation yet? The David Park Foundation?
No.
I'll talk to you after.
Okay.
Where do you find your mentors?
Through our network. I mean, I've been in San Diego for 40+ years. You know, and we're very well connected, but so all we need is 6 high-quality instructors, and you know, we're capable of delivering the content ourselves too, but I'd rather use people from the community. And so the instructors that we've profiled up here have been with us 4 years already, and have already committed to year 5 with us. Some of them are working with the North County program too, because, I mean, again, it's all volunteers. They don't get paid. but all we're asking is one morning for each. That's why we go with 6. For programs like St. Thomas, they have a full paid staff. So they're running 1, 2, 3 cohorts a year. And same instructor, all 6 sessions because they can pay the instructors. Our model, it's all volunteer.
Right.
So, hey, would you spend one morning, take a Saturday morning to work with our group? And these 6 instructors are phenomenal.
They're extraordinarily good. And it's very effective having the multiple presenters. It works really well.
Any other questions? It's 1 o'clock. Not that I want to, it's a great conversation going, but we can stay and talk maybe.
I'm okay. I mean, I'm not time constrained with this thing.
And Michael Morris is on our advisory group for circles.
What I would recommend, I mean, I heard some banter around the room of how do we create a BizStarts here in San Diego? I strongly recommend for some of you to go up to Wisconsin, visit Patrick, see what I saw. It's just amazing when I see the bootstrap grassroots thing that we're doing, and then I see what could be. Patrick's group, 43, 44 cities, that's the gold standard of where we'd like to be.
So
Well,
Patrick,
I can't restrain myself from saying good things about Patrick so far, since I'm on the board. I've been on that board since 2012, I think, before Patrick became the president. So I know what it was and I know what Patrick's done. And part of what's been so cool is, like, he's modeled being a great entrepreneur. He came into something that had a totally different concept. He never believes he has the answer. He always wants to go out and listen. We went out and listened, and it became something that was really serving people who need a means of livelihood and creating jobs for themselves and for their families and for their communities and their neighborhoods. But then it was like, and we're doing it on the north side, but we should do it on the south side and let's partner with the Hispanic community. And then he sits down in some cafe somewhere next to a deaf person and the talking's like, we should do it in American Sign Language. So then we do it in American Sign Language. And then he's like, we need a retail store. We had a huge debate at the board, actually, I won't go into all that, but about the retail store and, settled on it. It can be a showcase for the products, but it also should be a learning lab. And so then he goes and finds a professor from Florida, right? A well-known retail professor and creates a retail program. So they get a retail and it's actually credentialed, and they get a credential when they come out of that retail program. So, it's been a series of listening and innovating and building, and I think that's just such a great model for the entrepreneurs themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Like walking the
relationship
talk,
building, yeah.
right?
so Patrick, what will it cost to get you to move to San Diego?
Especially in the winter, making this introduction.
What's your weather like right now?
Yeah, it's 12 degrees and we just had 7 inches of snow, so,
No, we could start that, as I mentioned, we run an academic conference every year in April. And I was speaking with Patrick this morning, and they've asked me to do a presentation at the conference. And I said, well, why don't we bring Patrick down and we could do a version of this. But if I can get him into San Diego for a little visit, maybe he could do a little visit with you.
Awesome.
I was gonna respond that for our visit in Wisconsin, let me check the Packers schedule. We'll be out there. It's probably sold out all the time. We probably can't.
Well, but not one of those outdoor in November.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
Patrick's a Bears fan. Come on.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, okay, well, we had to close. Would someone like to pray to close it? Oh, Jackie,
flourish. Would you bless all those involved in making it possible for the least of us to work and flourish?
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you,
Bless you
Patrick.
guys. Yes, bless you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And,